Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here with YoVideogames, and I'm back with another hype check video for another Switch 2 game, and let's talk about the big 800-pound gorilla in the room this time, and that is Donkey Kong Bananza. So when this game got revealed at the Switch 2 Direct, I'm going to be 100% real here. I wasn't as over the moon as I thought I would be, and let me just back up and kind of explain this a bit. Because when we had heard rumors of a 3D Donkey Kong game being made by the Tokyo team for quite some time, and they kind of seemed to disappear and fizzle out, and then I guess we all just assumed and shrugged that was just, tales from someone's, butthole. But here we are at the Switch 2 launch, and Donkey Kong Bonanza's here, and yes, it is a 3D Donkey Kong game, definitely by the Nintendo Tokyo team, even if Bill Trinan doesn't want to say it. But here we are. But I was a little bit scared and hesitant because they have history with the Donkey Kong franchise at Nintendo Tokyo. Not bad history, mind you, good history in a way, but they, for their first game that the Tokyo team did, was Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, a pretty cool platformer game that you played with the bongos on the GameCube. It later got a Wii re-release, and it was a cool game, do not get me wrong. It's a dope game, but it's not quite on the same level as Tropical Freeze, as Donkey Kong Country or Country 2. It doesn't meet the rare retro classics, like all-time classics. It's just a very cool sort of gimmick concept of a platformer. And another thing that sort of bothered me a little bit about Jungle Beat was how Jungle Beat completely ignored anything Rare created in its gameplay. No Diddy Kong, no Dixie Kong, no Cranky Kong, no Animal Buddies, no Kremlings, nothing. Just no music callbacks. It is just Donkey Kong in a completely different jungle environment, and he fights other Kongs. And then when we saw this game at the Nintendo Switch 2 presentation, we saw like the main villains, Voidco as we know now, were more other Kongs. So I was like, oh man, this looks cool, this looks fun, but are we I was kind of afraid we were getting a sort of 3D Jungle Beat moment where it'd be a game where it's basically heavy on shaking the Joy-Cons, and it's kind of just very much a sort of quick experience, quick fun, gimmicky experience, but not necessarily something that lives up to the potential or just sort of the history that is Donkey Kong Country, even DK64. And as time went on, as I read more, as I saw more, as they showed the game at the Treehouse presentation, a lot of my fears were kind of washed away, and I was able to just sort of like, oh no, this game is the shit. and of course the other sort of thing that I was a little hesitant was it is the new Donkey Kong look, which is sort of based on more of closer to the original design from the arcade, which was kind of brought back with the Super Mario Brothers movie, and then we saw it in Mario Kart World. And I wasn't really huge on the redesign for Donkey Kong. I'm still not huge. I don't think I like the redesign more than Tropical Freeze, but I will say this, very expressive. Excellent animation, just phenomenal work by the Tokyo team regarding just how DK's expressiveness and animation looks, and I've warmed up to it a lot. Another thing that kind of helps too is that we actually we saw Cranky Kong in the footage that's come out both from Treehouse and from other people hands-on at the media day, and it's sort of like, okay, this game does like, and again, even from the trailer we saw one of the, I'm assuming, sort of bonus areas, which is a throwback to the original Donkey Kong Country, where they try to make the trees look like the original CGI rendered on the first game on Super Nintendo. So, and we saw like, DK barrels and stuff, cannon barrels. So what looked like espresso, and then in other footage we saw Cranky Kong reference Rambi. So okay, my fears are pretty much just gone at this point. Like, okay, this is truly a big 3D Donkey Kong game. This is Mario Odyssey's moment, or I should say the Donkey Kong moment for having his own Mario Odyssey game, and it's by the Odyssey team, obviously. So I'm actually way more on board than just sort of the initial first minute where I was a little bit like, oh, looks cool, but is it just gonna be a sort of gimmick, kind of like, waggle the Joy-Cons around real heavily and just sort of have fun for an hour? But no, this looks like the real deal, and I have to say, I love how much it actually does seem to be paying homage to past rare and retro titles. Cranky in his dialogue talks, he chides Donkey Kong and calls him the leader of the bunch in quotation marks. The fact that they have a sort of upbeat synthesized version of like, oh, banana, every time he grabs one. And again, of course, we're obviously going to see more than just Cranky. We're going to see Diddy probably. We're going to see, we know we're going to see Rambi. And then again, all the other things that are coming from the Odyssey side too, which is, the very nice open environments. We see that there's actually going to be a fashion system where you collect fossils as well as bananas. Fossils are currency to buy clothing, different clothing options for DK, which was pretty much this exact same way it worked in Odyssey with purple coins. So that's also very exciting. We got a bit of a leak, accidental leak from Nintendo Korea, so we know someone who either looks like Pauline or is related to Pauline, or maybe just is Pauline redesigned, is going to be in the game. Possibly related to the Odd Rock companion that we see hanging on DK's shoulder. And so all that is said, let's just getting into it. The idea that this is a sort of red faction gorilla take on Donkey Kong is actually really cool. It's in the movement, in the game is just super awesome. He can run fast, he can roll, he can climb on any surface, he can turn the environment into like a sort of like spinning skateboard. Got a very Hulk Ultimate Destruction vibes of that. I'm sure nobody on this team played Hulk Ultimate Destruction, but Hulk Ultimate Destruction was awesome. And seeing that DK can rip chunks of the environment and turn them into weapons, turn them into, skateboards, that's just so super cool. And the sort of dig anywhere, dig through things, go around things. I love the openness of this. There's things in the game that sort of like hint of where a banana, which is basically a moon, which is basically a star, where it is, but you don't necessarily have to do whatever the game's sort of hinting at you to do. You can literally dig around it and just find the banana. I believe it's called bananium, whatever, unobtainium. It's the rare earth material made out of bananas or whatever. So you can find the golden bananas. You can just dig through them. You can dig around your problems. It has a very just incredibly free form feel to it. And then what we could hear of the music in the Nintendo Treehouse presentation sounded really fantastic. It's obviously coming from the Mario Odyssey team, this is the side of Nintendo that actually believes in orchestrated music. So I'm going to be very happy to hear that. I liked what I've heard so far. I was also afraid when it was obvious that this was a Nintendo Tokyo. I'm like, well, that kind of sucks because we'll probably just get a whole lot of just bongo drums, over and over again, sort of overdone. But no, it doesn't sound like that's the case at all here. From what we saw, especially with the second level in the Treehouse presentation, this sounds much closer to Odyssey. Now, that being said, it is disappointing. I would much rather have had David Wise and or Grant Kirkhope on the team composing for this game. I think that would have lended it an even closer air of authenticity to the Donkey Kong brand, especially the Donkey Kong Country 64 brand, to get Grant Kirkhope and David Wise on there. I'm sure they're not involved. I'm sure it's just the music team from Odyssey. But hey, if you can't get the goats of Donkey Kong, at least you getting the Odyssey music team is that's a pretty good compromise. So I can live with that. But yeah, I also liked how there was a sort of also reference and nod to the arcade game, the original game, where Donkey Kong is digging lower and lower. The levels are like sub-level 10, sub-level 100. This is obviously a very nice throwback to the original Donkey Kong arcade game, where between every level it said, how high can you get? Can you get 25 meters, 50 meters, 75, 100? Last level's only 4 or 5 level game. But yeah, like I love this sort of callback where, we're digging down. How low can you go? In DK Bananza. So I just hope that we know the game is a little on the smaller side file size wise. It's 10 gigabytes, but that's no big deal. Like Xenoblade X is like 13. So and there's no voice acting. Well, there's sort of like AI synthesized voice acting with Odd Rock, but generally speaking, there's no voice acting because of course Nintendo. So a lot of space is going to be saved there. And yeah, it definitely seems to be using some sort of voxel-like technology for digging through the earth and stuff. And yeah, I will say this. Yeah, you definitely see the camera kind of get a little bit lost, and there are like some chunky moments of frame rate. But it also seems like they're trying really hard to make sure you don't just dig into nothing. Like when you go underground, you can see the camera sort of makes the dirt invisible, and you can see other trails below you and to the side of you, so you know where to dig, so you're not just blindly just punching buttons into the complete darkness. So it does seem like they're trying to make the game and the digging aspect user-friendly, intuitive to it, and I appreciate that. Looks a little funny, but you kind of get over it. Again, just the idea that GK is just punching the crap out of everything, rolling into everything, throwing things into things, you know, beat a motherfucker with another motherfucker. It just looks like so much fun, and I'm going to have so much fun with this, you know, with this little birthday gift to me from the Nintendo Tokyo team. So, you know, my hype check was actually, funnily enough, like a little like on the lower end, you know, 8 or maybe just below 8. But like, you know, honestly, looking at it now at the hype check here, I'm at a hype check of 9. This is very potentially going to fight it out for Game of the Year for me. I mean, if it just sticks the landing, if it is as good and as fun as Odyssey was, and it, you know, as good as and fun as it looks in these tree houses, we are absolutely talking about Game of the Year material here. I don't know if the rest of the world will feel the same way, but as a Donkey Kong aficionado, I was trepidatious at first, but looking at it more and more and seeing it in action, I'm actually really excited for this game. This is going to be a total blast. I can't wait to play it, and thankfully we don't have long to go. It's only like 3 months from now from reveal, so you know, all I got to do now is worry about somehow getting a Switch 2 without, you know, taking out, you know, a second mortgage or something. So, oh boy, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the channel later, dudes.